Hey, oh, I thought we duplicate.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Replit Live. We're here day 3 at SaaStr, and it's been an exciting few days, exploring the AI landscape, the entrepreneurial landscape, kind of seeing all the different companies come up, speakers on stage. We've had we had Ghazi, Amjad, Michaeli. We had a couple people from the crowd, first-time builder, a little bit of experience builder. We had Cody. We had Jason Lemkin. Who else did we? Who am I
We had
missing?
some
Brendan
new builders
came
from Green Security, Julia and Lindsay on the show yesterday. That was really good.
Well, and the amount of alpha that's being dropped on this show that not that many people are kind of seeing compared to our normal live streams, that's going to get clipped up out of this. So go check out especially the Amjad, Michaeli, and Ghazi interviews from day one. Yesterday was more like thriving
Cody.
in the day, talking a little bit about how this stuff's being used in real time. And today I think we're gonna, just wrap this up, a little pin on top of things. So how you feeling, Manny and Francisco in the game?
Great. I'm doing great. I just wanted a huge shout out to Nani's KG. Dario's in the chat. Dario, I need your time zones. We're going to get on a call soon. Summer camp, Raz. I've seen a couple of different people jumping in. And again, thank you so much for joining. I mean, truly, these are, built out for you. And I see that someone needs to catch up on 4 days worth of content. So we'll do our very best today.
Yeah. Do a quick recap. Well, we're definitely moving faster at SaaStr.
Hey.
That's been the theme. That's been the theme. Oh,
there we go.
Rewind. Faster at SaaStr. No, I mean, I think it's just been great. I mean, I think we've been talking on the streams around vibe coding going pro, vibe coding being used more in the enterprise on the business side. And so here, everybody's all in on that. And so it's been great to see people are actually building. I feel like the commentary has been 12 months ago, people were curious about what AI can do, but there's still a lot of open questions about how to bring it into work, how to bring it into the business. And this time around, it's a lot of hands-on building.
Yeah.
The vibe coding sessions that Cody has been doing, Horatio has been doing, Jacob Eisner as well. He's going to be joining us a little bit later.
That whole tent, it's just a whole setup
really
out
nice.
there. They're killing it.
You want to bring up some of that B-roll?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up.
And for those of you that are not here that are joining us, it's like a big campus, and there's a bunch of open air areas as well. We've got a vibe coding workshop outside where we have Replit folks building here. We'll bring it up here for you. And the weather has been awesome, and these tents have been packed. We came in yesterday pretty early. Didn't we come in early yesterday? And this place was packed. We had Horatio showing some examples of what to build, taking some questions from the audience. We've had Cody here do a lot of great builds. And so I think, the key takeaway that I'm getting from this year's SaaStr, it's time to build. Now you have the support coming from the top down. Executives and business leaders are saying, we got to do stuff with AI. They're empowering their team. They have a mandate. We've continued to hear that. Every company now has a mandate. We got to get with this whole AI craze. And then also now you have the tooling that's coming along with that's making that possible. So folks can go into Replit and start building stuff and feel secure about doing that and feel safe about building there. And so you just have a bunch of things that are coming together where it's a lot more building that's happening. And I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, no, I am too. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm meeting a lot of people out here who are building for the very first time and kind of just really getting into the, weeds of it. And it's been great. I mean, I think that's why these sessions are, filling out. People are really trying to adapt to this new, world of AI.
And I never get tired of seeing people's impression when they use Replit for the first time. I call it the Replit glow. When you get onto Replit and you build something and it's functional, it's cool, it's neat. It's usually in a one shot or a couple of prompts, and people just are buzzing with that feeling, with that excitement. And if you want to see a glimpse of that, check out yesterday's show where we had Julia and Lindsay join us from a company called Green Security that is early in their AI adoption journey, and they just started using Replit, and they're just raving about it. Look at all the cool things that I can build, allowing me to go faster, and the company's supporting us, and they're really excited about building with Replit. So I don't know. I don't get tired of seeing that. I love that Replit glow sensation that I see off of new builders.
I think it's one of the things too I also love is you get that initial kind of Replit glow, but then the follow-up a week later. So here are the 6 apps I created, and here's what the next iteration is. I love it.
Well, I think it's the Replit glow the first time you use Replit, but then fast forward 2 weeks, I call it the Replit like bags underneath your eyes because you've been up all night working on your Replit projects. Like
What's
one more
that
prompt,
like?
one more feature. Like, you know about that, right?
I don't have no idea what you're talking
I
about.
feel like when Reimar and Marcelo got free credits, like I just started getting messages from them
Ooh.
later and later in the night, like just with random updates.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You see, Reimar's status always green on Slack because he's like always on there, like just jamming away on Replit.
Yeah. Y'all are pretending like I wasn't a Replit crackhead before.
But now we lent you into the candy store, dude.
That's
It's
right.
going crazy.
No, that's right. It's all over now. Yeah, it's been really cool. We're showing some footage of the conference floor here and just kind of running through the experience a little bit. These are the ladies that we had on the stream yesterday. Yeah, Manny evangelizing.
Is that audio coming through? Oh, Nate.
Yeah, Manny doing his recruiter mode here, trying to grab people from the floor.
Get on.
Again, pulling people in and just chatting about what's going on. And yeah, I don't know. This is one of those. Again, I go back to like maybe you're not here at SaaStr, but there's opportunities for you to like get connected with people in your community to do this. Like again, it's infectious to just do this with other people, even if it's one or two other people. I remember some of like my early meetup days. Some of the best meetups were just the 3 or 4 or 5 people kind of getting together because you can really nerd out on this stuff. You can really get hands-on with each other, and there's nothing that beats kind of being in the same room and learning with other folks and getting again hands-on with these types of things. So anyway, yeah.
And I don't think you have to do much. Like I feel like I keep saying that Replit. What's Replo? That's the next
new
the
band.
next new brand.
Yeah.
Talk to Philip, our branding guy. Like I got a new name for us, Replo. I keep saying that Replit demos so well. Like it's one of those things where you can have like 5 minutes of commentary. Like this is vibe coding. Here's what it does. It allows you to build software, even if you're not a technical person. And then just break out your laptop and put in a prompt into Replit and just wait 5 minutes and let Replit cook. And it's like, oh, everybody sees the magic of that. So you don't need a lot to go out and hang out with folks and show them what you're building and introduce them to Replit. And when you introduce them to Replit, they're just going to thank you forever. And if you do, again, I keep saying this, make sure you're using your referral code in Replit. I keep seeing a lot of people going out there sharing Replit. Here's what you go into your settings and you find that URL that says that if somebody activates on that URL, that you get like $10 off or something, whatever. It's a great way, get a little something for your token balance, but also it's a great way to track how many folks that you're introducing to Replit that are actually converting into real Replit users.
Yeah. Absolutely. And as you use a referral, always let us know. We're always looking to see, what folks are building out there, who are they sharing it with. And there are a lot of events and it's just only ramping up. So we have an event next week in London. We had an event in Toronto last week. We had Lima, Ghana. There's just tons of cities that are really getting activated here. Always check out our community homepage for more information on upcoming events and just general updates. And let us know what you're building out there. We always love to see it. A lot of the folks that are part of the ambassador community today were just people that got up and get started.
Here's another key theme that I've been seeing is around folks building more agents on Replit. Get some context here. Jason Lemkin, the organizer of SaaStr, he's a big time Replit user. And what he's saying is that this whole event has been put on by him and one other person using like 30 agents all built in Replit for like the marketing part of things, for the scheduling part of putting together this conference, and a whole bunch of other things, and like the cold emails that are going out. He joined us on the live stream yesterday. That was really good. Go check that out. So he's all in on agents. And then we also had Amjad on the show on Tuesday, and he's just talking about how like more and more people are building agents on Replit. So become the nerd. Yeah, you're definitely on track here. I keep thinking to Amjad's comments around like us making it easier for you to build standalone agents in Replit. He's seeing a glimpse of the future. He's seeing what Jason is doing with agents, and we have some way of doing that in Replit. But his view was like we have to make that a little bit easier and more straightforward for you to just go straight to building an agent. So maybe you don't want to build a website or internal tool or an automation. You want a standalone agent that might like help you do some of this stuff.
Yeah, so let's anchor back maybe to the what's next for Vibe Code topic here, because maybe we can future cast a little bit based on our inside knowledge, based on being on the ground floor. Maybe we project forward like, what's going to be this industry, and maybe you all are watching this and you have some thoughts, like
Drop some thoughts.
where does this go next? What comes of all of this, right?
SaaStr 2027. What's
Fully
gonna be the
autonomous. Are you automating your workflows? Are you building different agents to do things for you? And then where do you think these capabilities are going? That's kind of what we want to know throughout the stream today, and going to be the running topic is like, what do you see next, right? We've kind of talked a little bit about here's what's going on now. We had Amjad, Ghazi, and Michele on day one, kind of talking about this is the current state. This is how we see it. Here's how enterprises are adopting it. Yesterday, we talked more about, hey, how do you thrive in this space? Here's some new builders. Here's kind of what's happening right now. And I think today it's like, all right, we see where we're at. What comes next, right? What do people need to start thinking about as they see this now, right? Like people are looking and they're starting to say, what is this? I've heard about vibe coding for a year now. I see people doing things. I hear people talking about it. I see haters saying one thing. I see the evangelist saying another. That means the truth is somewhere in the middle. So where do you all see this as like the next step? And I think maybe that can guide part of the conversation that we're planning to have for the next handful of hours here.
And then we'll be able to grade ourselves 1 year from today when we're here at SaaStr 2027. Like which takes really played out. Yeah, who was right?
The poly market, yeah, we're gonna have to build a community poly market here for like these types of
we've been talking
predictions and things, and maybe like build-a-thon winners. People can wager on build-a-thon winners inside a poly market, but you got to spend your Replicash.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, total aside.
Side note.
Side quest. My YouTube algorithm feeds me, in the shorts, this guy that just like and I've been watching him forever. It's like he gambles a certain amount based on the number of followers he has. And he was like one of the first people. Like, there's lots of people doing this now, but this guy, like, he's almost at 2 million followers, and he's like, and anyway, there's like this. People just follow for what I just keep thinking, like, what if there was like a Replicash casino, like where people could take their build-a-thon earnings and just like, spin the machine, you get on the board, and then next thing you know, like,
what do you mean? But he gambles by the more like users,
bro. So he has a certain number of subscribers, and based on the number of subscribers, he makes bets up into that amount. So he had like 1.5 million subscribers. So he had like $150,000 that he was gambling on the blackjack table. And so based on how the subscriber count grows, he kind of increases the wager. Wow.
And is it the delta or like the absolute level? So like, is he betting like 200K and 250?
Every number. So I think every subscriber is like $1 or something like that. Maybe not $1 because that would have been $1.5 million.
Yeah, right.
So there's some kind of translation where like he's betting, $150,000
like every time.
Right.
So he gets 200.
So when he hits 2 million, he'll do 200,000 as a bet. Yeah. So anyway, there's like this increasing, and we talk a little bit about this audience engagement. So like I just kind of watch sometimes of like, because sometimes he gets cleaned out.
Ooh.
And then sometimes anyways, side quest over. But
we'll gamble, and if we win, then we'll like give it to somebody in the audience in the chat or something.
Amjad talked a little bit about some of these, I don't want to say degenerate tendencies, but some of these things that are looked at as like not necessarily positive traits in some circles, right?
Yeah.
But that those kind of become advantages in this world where it takes like this hyper focus and this ability to jump between projects and like kind of this really diverse skill set you need to harness to kind of to be a part of this. And so again, we're kind of triggering some of these dopamine things, and I think we're really early in the psychological evolutionary process of how all these digital things affect us as like a species. And I think what we're going to find out about the early social media days is that it was just a little predatory generally, and I think we're just on a better path to figuring out like how do you, again, trigger some of these reward mechanisms, but then result with productive outputs rather than just like brain rot. And I think that's what we're starting to see that a little bit, right? And I don't know if this is the perfect version of it, but for some reason, those two things, and I don't know.
So is that your forecast? Is that one of your bets?
I do bet that lots more people are going to replace doom scrolling with like upskilling, and that entertainment is going to become, education is going to become very much more educational.
Edutainment?
Education is going to become very entertaining. What am I trying to say here?
I think he's trying to say edutainment, right? That term where like you combine learning and fun in a cool way.
Well, and the gamification, right? Like the rewards, the incentives. Right now, the rewards and the incentives around the internet are basically like, hey, how big an audience can you get? And then can you pervert that audience for like advertising revenue?
Right.
Whereas I think what we're seeing now is like, hey, can you generate attention, but then can you use that for something productive in the real world?
Right.
And that's what I think we're seeing. We're seeing these new networks. We talk about these action networks versus the attention networks. And so That's what I think. That would be my prediction, is that we're going to continue to see people build new things with these tools that allow them to activate their small group, their niche, their something other that's just kind of been floating ethereal on the internet, and kind of harness that towards some kind of goal. That doesn't always have to be money. That could be passing some local initiative or getting some kind of nonprofit funding or whatever, But I think we will see a lot of that, and then localized tools. So now you're not beholden to some software company for hundreds of dollars a month for this like one little sliver of a feature you need. It's like, we can do it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do see that. That would be part of my prediction for sure.
And KG is a great one as well. And I just keep seeing this more and more. And it's like point and click UI is going away. The way the dinosaurs, voice control, just in time generated UI. I mean, I see this all the time in the office, right? Where it's an interesting corner over where we are, because everyone's talking to themselves. And of course, we're all just using Whisper Flow. We're talking to our agents, things like that. I think there's also a very much a shift coming in how we interact with our machines.
I think it's a good take, KG. I think the UI in terms of how you interact with applications is changing you as an individual user. But we also had Jason on the show yesterday, and he's talking about how like the way that our LLMs and our agents work with products and services, that's going to change. He said, like, the number one thing that companies have to be thinking about right now is how to make their offering agent friendly. So, for example, he's not necessarily going into Salesforce anymore, but he has his agent going to Salesforce, and he's getting more use in Salesforce than ever before. It's just not him actually going into the UI, clicking around and finding things. He's just directing his agent to tap that data in Salesforce and whatever services they have on there, and then bring that back into his agent hosted on Replit. So this idea of a headless product, where like the UI necessarily isn't like the area where people are going to get the most value. It's going to be around making it easy for agents to interact with that platform.
Yeah,
that was a really hot take. That was really good.
Yeah, I would push back a little.
Oh, tell me, let's do it.
I think for sure we will have point and click, real time UI generated, but I also think the cognitive load of like trying to figure out, when I open a new app that does the same thing, do I have to relearn the UI?
Right.
Like, so if you look at websites and you look at like a lot of standardized like there's a lot of things like, oh, the logo is probably on the top left. Like the nav's probably in the top right. Like, oh, it's an app. Okay, so maybe there's going to be this little sidebar on the left. It's like some of these things are just cues that I don't know that we want to get rid of. Or let me put it this way. You get rid of them at your own peril as you create new software and people want to explore that. And then you make it more difficult for the cognitive load for them to figure out where they might want to go. So for certain things, I think that's probably right? If I want just a summary of something and I want to ask the AI and it's just in time and it's just like, it's creating a feed for me or it's creating something simple. But if it's something that I kind of want to access regularly and every day, and it's like, I kind of want that to be consistent. And then probably we want other people to have consistency across the board, because if you and I are in the same software, then, and I need to explain to you where to go somewhere, then I need to be able to direct you to that specific place. And it shouldn't be different for me than it is for you. And so I think there's probably like truth on both sides of that, where yes, a lot of things will be generated on the fly, but I think just from the mental load and from the psychological aspect, like people are just going to want familiarity in a lot of places. And so I still see trends and patterns in UI kind of, even though the AI may be generating stuff, there will be some basic framework for navigating and understanding these things. Otherwise, it'll just be very difficult.
Yeah, I get that. And I guess I would say, I think it's going to change radically what that UI looks like. Because to KG's point, like now, like I'm yapping a lot more to my computer more than ever. I'm actually kind of obnoxious at the office, I think. Because I'm like, no, change that, add that to the, and I'm like talking to my computer all the time. So I think like that has to get incorporated into how we go into like a Salesforce or like a Databricks and viewing the UI. I think there's going to be more of a change there in terms of when I do go to the UI, I want more of this way that I'm working today. So I think you're right. There's probably going to be like some trends that, or some patterns that surface and everybody adopts. I just think it's going to be different from what we see today.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying too is like, instead of just navigating through the traditional UI, you should also expect to navigate through natural language.
Right.
Just like you can talk to the AI, just like you can kind of ask it things and it has some kind of intelligence or ability to like interpret that. But that doesn't necessarily, in my mind, mean shifting the UI. It could maybe, right? Like maybe you can optimize it. Maybe you can, and you could do this with browser extensions. Now you could just like, hey, I want to change the color of this background and like, I want to customize this for me. So we might see more customization, or hey, I want the sidebar to have this element in it, but everyone has a sidebar or a thing.
Right.
And again, it depends. Like, are you building a dashboard for yourself? Is this a thing that you just expect to use? And then it's fully like it makes perfect sense for it to be customized fully to you?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this thing a million people going to use it, and you kind
Right.
of have to standardize it because you have to deal with a lot of different mental models that need to be unified? And so I
Right.
think, again, the use case will define whether or not it's like super custom or whether or not it's a little bit more standardized across the board.
Mm-hmm. Very neat. Hot take, not hot take, but prediction number 2 that I have. I think that we're going to see the rise of the one person team. This was something that was coined by the CEO of Coinbase, no pun intended, recently, around just how Coinbase is using AI more and more, and how AI is empowering teams and individuals. And this is idea that you have one person that's doing everything involved, that getting an idea like started, and then like actually shipping it, because now you have AI that can help you do the research, that can help you build the prototype,
Yep.
that can help you assess how people are using it,
Yep.
and then like maybe even ship it as well. Like, I don't know if we're getting to that point where people like new vibe coders can ship production grade code. I mean, I think in some instances, but I think it's still a small fraction. But more and more, I think you're going to see this term, the one person team that does all of these things that usually required 5 different hats
Yeah.
to ship new products.
I'm gonna push.
Tell me,
I'm gonna
back.
push back.
Tell me why.
Okay, so I definitely think we will see lots of one-person teams doing lots, like shooting way above their weight.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite phrases is, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think there's going to be a lot of people jumping out of the gate and being able to like this freelancer model, this independent contractor model.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be able to do so much more, right? As an independent contractor, as a freelancer, you will be able to compete with agencies. You will be able to basically have a team with you of these people doing, some of that stuff we talk about what the AI use cases are good for and what the agents are good for. However, I still think that having other people, again, we talk about this human side, we talk about the connection side, and I'll make this other point. I keep going back to lots of apps that we saw in all of the build-a-thons,
Mm-hmm.
which were check on your friends. What's the status? How do you keep up with people? How do you connect with these people that are in your network that maybe you're losing touch with? I saw so many apps around that. And so part of me thinks that there's this trend moving forward that we're seeing emerge in people trying to build these apps. What that's going to lead to is the real connection. So I think, yes, you're right. Individually as creators, we are going to find like more capability in our creative skill set. What I think we shouldn't forget is that working with other people in that same direction makes you better.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think we might see, this would be my prediction in a vibe code, not to counter yours. I think yours is probably right. But I think what we'll...
he's hedging.
No. Well, I'm adding. It's like a yes and.
I gotcha.
What I think we will see is a new type of like corporate structure form, right? Whereas corporations right now and businesses right now are very hierarchical, and they're very top down in the way they're structured. What I think we will see is networks that are loosely organized groups of these independent freelancers that do cool things, and they come together to kind of like be assassins in one specific point, right? So it's like, you need this creative project done. You're going to pull boom, 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 and pull this team together. They're going to go do this cool thing. Everyone's going to get paid, and then they're going to disband, right? And it won't necessarily be like the umbrella that they operate under will be some kind of community, but there may be like shared buying power for things like benefits or leverage in negotiating contracts, because we're all going to buy tools together, or we're all going to spend AI credits in a certain place, or we're all going to focus our attention in certain ways. And that goes back to this concept of like these action networks, that necessarily we don't need to be one single entity. We can all be individual entities, but we can work together in some way to push an idea forward. And that's where I would, venture to say that, like, yes, individuals will be stronger, but you'll always, a group of those individuals working together will just, that team will just be amplified. And again, that's where I think like we're showing the way of what does a team look like with AI forward. That's why I keep going back to, like, regardless of what happens with these tools, regardless of what happens with, AI on a longer term scale, what we're seeing right now is an AI enabled team here at Replit, where AI is a first person citizen. We're using these tools daily to kind of amplify our work. And so, yes, me as an individual is maybe doing the work of 2 or 3 people on this team because of these tools. Right. And I think that's a new paradigm where it's like, maybe we don't have less, we still gonna have teams, but those teams will be much more amplified, to your point.
Yeah. And the way I would frame, I mean, like, you're a great example of this, where like you can go really far in a project and you're still bringing me and Francisco in, like you're building the build-a-thon site, right? Like, hey, what do you guys feel about this? You like this? Give me some commentary. But you're driving most of that development, and you're still bringing us in to give you commentary. I think that's going to be like the more of the model moving forward. Like one person can just drive hard on a particular outcome, just keep pushing on that. But then you also want to bring folks in to give you some advice, give you some guidance, make sure you're like getting people, keeping people up to speed on things. But I just feel like one person with AI is just going to be able to just march on something and just like get stuff done.
To push again, like, but what you're saying is like, let's say, so Rymar's focused on building the build-a-thon site, but then you're focused on let's market the build-a-thon site, and then Francisco, you're focused on like, okay, on a high level, how does this fit into the strategy? And then we have to tie in these other teams, and now it has to align with all these other initiatives, and so it's like,
yeah, you're right.
Yes. You know, each individual is amplified in their way, whereas maybe this might have had to be a 10-person team to run this build-a-thon before, and we ran it with 4 or 5 people with the help of, with some support of other folks, right, as needed. And that's where, again, I think like
spot on,
individuals will be able to just pull a little bit more weight in the direction they're pulling, but having multiple people pulling in that same direction is always going to be better.
Yes.
I mean, we see that in our own team, right? I mean, the stuff that you're doing on your own and just building out and constantly developing based off, you know, the community feedback has been unbelievable. And Manny, just like the amount, like all the content you see online, a lot of it is being produced by Manny, right? Like pulling together things, you know, creating things. Obviously, Rymar is creating like assets, but again, I think individually we're doing like multiple different, you know, jobs at once, but we're all headed towards you know, the same community goaling of supporting all of you.
Yeah, but versus like 2 years ago, like think about like when we do a build-a-thon, like we do streams, the assets, the site itself, the support, the grade, the scoring. I think that would have been like a 10, 15 person team to do that. And you know, it's like us three kind of like hammering that out. So that's like my next kind of prediction here is that you're just going to see leaner teams. You're going to see flatter organizations. You mentioned that. We're seeing that at Replit. We're flattening the organization. You're seeing that at other companies, just leaner, flatter organizations that just can move fast on things.
Yeah. I agree. And this doesn't mean that teams that exist are just going to shed all their teams. Right. We talked about this with Michaela and Amjad also about some of the downsides that's happening and how some people are just kind of like AI washing their layoffs as they restructure. And what I think is happening more than anything is not like, hey, these jobs are being removed because they're no longer necessary. It is, we need to reorganize the team in order to move forward efficiently in an AI first footprint, you know, in a posture. And sometimes that's difficult with the mechanisms you have in place. If you have to bring in new teams, new leadership, move things, sometimes that's what becomes difficult. And I think that's what we're seeing is these reshifting. Plus, there was a lot of hiring and a lot of positioning and a lot of things that happened after coming out of COVID that I think are being right-sized now. But I also don't think this means that like those organizations are going to decide to do less or be any less ambitious, even if they have smaller teams, even if they compartmentalize, even if they, you know, like reshift. They're going to want to do more. And again, they're going to want to scale as that footprint grows and they get a better holding. And so I just think that we're going to see a new type of job. Will some jobs be, you know, eliminated as we shift? Will some roles kind of evolve? Yes, of course.
It's going to change, yeah, for sure.
But also there's going to be this new bevy of roles that we don't even know that like are jobs right now that people are doing that they're going to get paid for, that just wasn't even feasible to think like, oh, you're getting paid for that? Like how many people do you look at today and you're just like, wait, you do what for a living? You know,
you put stuff in a spreadsheet. What? Come on.
Like, and so, yeah, I just think that in a few years, the umbrella that will encompass those things that you're just like, wait, what you do? What's your job? Right. And I have a hard time explaining to people. Like my mom asked me, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you know, like I do this thing and I build and I'm like, but then we're streaming and she's like, what? I'm like, so like a lot of times,
get a real job.
Yes, but imagine right. But imagine how many of those roles and things are evolving in places and people that again you don't even know the problem they're solving and what types of jobs it's going to create along the way as they carve a new niche. Right. This is not a zero-sum game. Just because you know somebody builds a business and has jobs doesn't mean that somebody else can't also build a business and create jobs. You know, and so that. Again, going back to like we're at the infancy of a new economy, a new way of building and forming, and we're seeing this in the community quite a bit. And so,
even with community, right? I've been in community for 15 years, and one of the things that I saw when I first began was when I told people I was a community manager, people were like, "Oh, you like are like the front desk person at like a apartment complex." I'm like, something like that, but on the internet, let's just say. But at the time, it just felt like it didn't feel real, right? And now we're seeing community become one of like the more core objectives that any large organization has, because they know that in this new era there's going to be so much more of a need to be able to connect with each other individually as people tackle their own problems. Even here on the chat, I'm seeing someone's like, hey, I have some issues with some of my apps, like I want to learn how to build a little better, and someone's like, oh, go check out community-help on Discord, where you're going to find real people that have already built on Replit and be able to connect with each other. And I think you're right, Raimar. I think that there's going to be just a variety of different roles. And I always think it's so wild when I see like the vibe coder roles go up, where it's like, we're just looking for someone to join our organization. These are, large companies that are established and, hundreds of employees that are looking for people to be like the internal vibe coder. And, shout out to Ethan, who was doing that at a previous role as well, now joined us here at Replit, where he was just like, people come to me, they tell me their ideas, I build kind of the framework, and then I send it over to engineering to kind of, bring that to life to whatever, specs that need to be done within the organization. And that job would have been crazy, 10 years ago.
And I think community is a really good example. And, at the end of the day, like community, what is it? It's about forming connections. It's helping all of you get familiar with the product. It's supporting you. It's helping you build some connection with other folks that are also building as well. And it's just much easier to do more now with these tools than what you were able to do 5 years ago. Like 5 years ago, if you wanted to host a virtual hackathon and give you like the custom experience that we just recently gave you with the Replit 10 hackathon, that would have been really tough to do. The goal is the same. It's just now you have tooling to do more of that and to do it in a more interesting way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I remember when Marcelo built out like a shell of what could be like a community hub. This is like very, very early, 3 months ago. And it was something that it took us like, it took us 2 years to do in a garage with Derek Anderson over at Startup Grind. It was unbelievable. That's spun out to become Bevy. And it's just, I don't know. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think, So I think for like many teams, like, focus on what the end outcome is and then think about how to amplify that with this tooling. I think you're going to have like teams that are going to be able to punch above their weight and do that more efficiently and quickly. But I also think that you're just going to be able to do more. Like, I think Replit's a really good example as well. Like we are the poster child for AI, but we are growing like crazy. Like I think we doubled our headcount in the last year. And so like we're all leveraging AI to the hilt, but we're also growing like crazy, and we're just able to do more and do it faster. I think that's the number one thing is like, what is your ultimate goal? Is to create connections in the world around your product and your community. Okay, now how do we do that at a faster pace? How do we do it at a much larger level? And then how do we like enrich the experience? Because like now we have streams, now we have content online, now we have our hubs, now you have a way to check out what you've been building the last couple of months. You have a nice profile that Raimar is building. So end goal is the same. We want to make sure that you feel welcomed with us and you're empowered as a builder or like someone that's trying to take your vibe coding to the next level. It's just there's so many more ways for us to do that and to also make it fun and interesting.
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that Reimer had built out is during the build-a-thon, he was able to see like, usage like across like a wide board of like, all the folks that were participating in it. And I remember at a previous organization I was at, I asked for something like that for 3 years. It never came. How could it? It's like, well, we need to talk to data, then data needs to talk to engineering, then we need to talk about priority. And it's like, no, we just pushed it out. And for us, it gives us all these insights into how to better help you, right? How to better support the community, how to better talk to all of you, even just a chat scraper, right? Every single time, every single one of these chats, we're actually summarizing all of the things that people are dropping in. So when you're dropping in feature requests, feedback, or even just, general topics that we're talking about, all of this is in here. And again, thank you all so much for always dropping in, engaging with us. And a huge couple of shout outs here. Ruth just joined us. Always, Ruth, thank you so much for joining. Dino, Kazir, Ruchir as well. Big hello from India, and Uncle who's joining us as well. So thank you always, for being part of the community.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting here. People are looking for closeness and connection, I think, is what this comment says. And we're seeing things that they're referring to as the loneliness economy as people build right now, which is absolutely kind of crazy to me. Let me switch back to this camera. Sorry, I'm playing with the shots here, just trying to keep the camera moving a little bit with our little Osmo here. Hey, friends, a little behind the scene game review, they said.
This is good, yeah.
But yeah, there's this loneliness economy that's brewing, which is a shame to hear that this is like literally a thing people are seeing as a monetizable fraction of what's happening. And to me, this is a subset of what's going on with social media and the disconnect that's happening and how we connect. And also why I think community is becoming so important, because people are looking for some kind of closeness, some kind of connection. outside of their traditional like social structures. And I think a lot of those things are happening around shared interest, right? Things like building things on the web, building apps, and again, that's why getting together in a room is so powerful. And so anyway, to the point of what y'all were saying, I think this is only going to expand. And I think we're going to see, again, in a couple years, how these relationships turn into fruitful, revenue generating opportunities, businesses, like lots of things for people that they're not even thinking about now. And also just, maybe a little stability, maybe a little friendship. You never know, who you're going to meet along the
No,
way.
absolutely. And I feel like a lot of the best communities, that's what happens, right? It's like, oh, how did y'all meet? Well, I met on the, X community, and we
Yeah.
were just really interested in building together. And I mean, previously I was over at Notion, and I, still have many good friends from that community, and people continue to hang out, and not just hang out, but also, like you said, build up businesses and continue to be able to thrive together. And that's one of the things that I always kind of want to point out is, in the world of AI, I think, Ryan Marmani always talk about automating as much as you can, and it's something that's really important. But one of the things that's very core, in our community team here is like relationships, is actually connecting with all of you, and that is something you cannot automate. I think it's one of the things that we try to like make it as easy as possible to connect with you, as many of you as we can. But at the end of the day, like, that's why we have the Discord, why we have the live streams, and we always try to like, take all of your feedback and into play. All of us here want to make sure that we're able to kind of help establish those connections, and it's been great to see.
And I think the right approach is that you want to use AI to automate all the drudgery, all of the tedious stuff that you have to do, to free up time to do the stuff that really matters, like forming real connections. Ghazi mentioned this earlier. I asked him, like, okay, what's the fine line of like leveraging AI too much and not enough? And his point was like, hey, like if something's tedious and mundane, if someone wants to book an appointment, that should be automated, no problem. People want a response right away, right? But if someone's getting a call from someone from Replit, you want that to be personal. You want that person to spend a lot of time with you. So if you're using AI to free up that time, you can do that. On our end, we got to do a bunch of stuff, right? That just like basics to like basic like maintenance stuff that we have to do and manage the community. And if we can leverage AI to automate that, we have more time to do in-person events and like spend more time with folks out in real life events. So I think that's like a really good kind of way of thinking about it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I think that's a good way to just think about things generally, right? Like I think a lot of people, especially in this AI era, get caught up in the like, I'm going to turn this, like there's the meme where like the two people on either side of the email where it's like, let's turn these three things into like a long paragraph, and then on the other side the other guy's like, let's turn this long paragraph into like, so it's like, hey, you expand on this, and then the other guys do the AI summary, like the AI to
Right.
summarize it.
Right.
And I think the metric you just talked about, or the funnel or filter or whatever you want to call it that you just talked about, is the right way to think about this. Is, get rid of the stuff that's boring, that's tedious, whatever. I'm still waiting for the robots to like come and do my laundry and sweep the
Right.
floors so I can focus on
A
the
little
fun
coffee.
stuff and make the art and do the playful things, right? And so I also think this is a good piece of advice for some of you all as you build and as we talk about distribution and connecting with an audience, is that you have to realize all these things are happening, and you need to figure out how to break through that noise and how to connect with the audience or with the potential user or with the whoever it is that like you're trying to reach. And that almost always comes with a genuine like we all want to feel listened to, we all want to feel heard, we all want to feel like we're part of a tribe, like we're part of a thing, like we're connected. And if your product doesn't do that, right, like if your product doesn't basically put me in the hero's role, right? And we talk about this a lot where like you get caught up talking about the product does this, feature A, X, Y, Z. It's like, and you start describing the product rather than describing the user being successful in life because they have adopted your product, right? And it's this like Super Mario analogy, right? If you think about Super Mario, he's just a player, but when he eats this fireball flower or whatever, he can throw fireballs. And so a lot of times, like we get caught describing the fireball plant. It's like, look at this beautiful plant. It's green. It's got these flowers, blah, blah. He eats it. But nobody cares about the flower. All they care about is that when I have this thing, I can throw fire, right? And so you, as a product developer, as a person who's shipping products, need to like put the user in the perspective of Mario throwing fireballs, not talking about the flower that gets you there, right? And so I think, again, connecting with the real output, connecting with the real story, and finding ways to like translate that into a way that you and I can understand quickly is the superpower here that you need to evolve. And also trying to solve things that are closer to the ground floor, right? That are meaningful to people rather than, again, competing with the enterprise level SaaS who's already got the market cornered on this big product idea that you think you're going to like rebuild overnight. Like that's not the way,
Forecast number 2, or I don't, am I forecast 2 or 3? I can't remember. Let's call it 2. Forecast number 2 is I think you're going to see more creatives get into vibe coding. We had Philip, our head of design, yesterday on the show, and he's just talking about how like more and more artsy types of folks. I call them the cool kids. The cool kids are getting into vibe code. He had this really nice adage, something to the effect of code is the new creative medium. And you're just gonna see, I think it's just like folks are gonna see it more as a tool to create something interesting and really cool. And up until now, I feel like, you know, the early adopters have been those very tech forward folks that are looking to build with AI. Then you have like the folks that are kind of the blend of the two. Like Rymar is a great example of that. He's like a former designer. He's got a very artsy background, but he's also very technical, right? So he like Replit's like perfect for him. But I think more and more this year we're going to see like just outright creatives and artists start building in Replit. And me as like more of a technical person or more of a left brain type of person, I don't think I'm going to be able to anticipate what that's going to look like. But I'm excited to see what they bring to the table and also add that to my toolkit as well, because I'd love to be more right brain as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we see the amazing things that Kim, part of our ambassador community, is creating with like the Replit movies.
Amazing, right? I'm like, I couldn't even imagine doing something like that.
No, and it was absolutely unbelievable because I remember I got on a call with him and he was like, I'm not trying to create like animation. I'm not trying to create AI animation. It's like I'm trying to create a new medium, right? And I think that's where we're going, right? I think there's going to be so many more possibilities to be able to expand on the traditional sense of what's already happening. I think we were talking about that over dinner the other day, right? It's like there's this wide range and you can use it in different pieces.
Yeah, I've heard a couple people in the company talking about like the art of what's possible. And I think that is like a ever expanding bucket that we can throw things into. But I wanted to call this out here. Somebody, Joaquin Castellanos is saying,
Hola, Joaquin.
Is it just me or you guys look like sports commentators with years of experience defining the future of the game?
Wow.
That's it.
That's high praise. Thank you, Joaquin.
Shout out.
And a quick plug for VibeCon that's coming up in June. That is the whole premise of VibeCon is what can creatives, what can artsy people, or what can cool kids do with vibe coding with Replit. So definitely check out VibeCon happening in June. What's the exact date again? June 5th?
16th, 17th and 18th.
17th and 18th.
17th and 18th, yeah. June 17th and 18th.
So we'll drop a link to VibeCon. Head over to that site, get your tickets. You're gonna have to be there. Especially, I think if you've been using Replit for a while. I think if you're in Replit, you're an early adopter. You're probably like me or Rymar or Francisco. You've got this kind of left brain kind of mentality, very tactical. So it's going to be really interesting for you to see what creative people, right brain folks, can bring to the table with vibe code. And I think I'm going to be surprised. And I'm going to be wild.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. And we're going to have a couple different initiatives probably starting off next week for our community, for our folks that are in our Discord and, here on the live stream. So we'll have some little updates here on VibeCon.
What's that mean?
Yeah, we'll see.
Tell me more, Francisco.
Tune in probably Tuesday. I think by Tuesday we'll have some fun updates.
Francisco just be teasing. That's all. You can't just be teasing. I wish they brought this setup back to the office and did a few streams a week with it. It's legit.
Ooh, man. You guys like the desk? Maybe we might have to do that.
Wait till you see what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's see. What you got? Any more on the list? What's up? You got any more I still haven't heard from the crowd what they think their predictions are.
Yeah,
right. We haven't heard from you all in the mix. I see some folks in the comments and talking lots of stuff, but I don't see you sharing your thoughts.
Drop your predictions
about what do you think? What do you see?
Where's the puck going here? It's just fun to do. We touched on this a little bit at the top of the show, but I'm expecting to see more agents being built out in Replit and more agents being used for folks. I think right now it's still very early for agent building and agent usage. But as Amjad mentioned, what Jason is doing here with SaaStr, running this whole operation with 2 people and 30 agents, that's a glimpse of the future. So I think next time this year, we're going to come back and there's going to be a lot more live building of agents. And then everybody's going to come with their own agents and look to optimize it. And so I think more and more you're going to see agents. And I guess maybe it's helpful to think about, like, how would you think about the difference between the standard Replit app or internal tool versus an agent? How would you make that distinction?
So I think defining an agent in my book is like, first of all, it's just kind of like a fancy loop, right? But in my mind, the agent has context, it has skills, and it has the ability to kind of act on its own. Whereas a Replit app or any other software that you build, unless it has some kind of deterministic workflow or some kind of like flow on the back end that's connected to AI, you're kind of expecting the same results. So an agent, you kind of have a probabilistic output. Whereas software, you almost always expect a deterministic output.
Right.
So when you're building something in Replit, when you're building an app, when you're building a mobile app, a web app, whatever, you kind of want a very specific input equals the same output with the same kind of sequence inside of it. An agent might make decisions on the fly based on different parameters, different situations. I think that line is being blurred.
Yep.
Right? Because you can now build in Replit something that has AI access and it can do decision-based things, or it can kind of organize stuff in a way to like pull it in and then make decisions on that or adapt based on that new data. And so I think that line is blurring a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I do see the ability to, again, create software that has a little bit more intelligence in it. And then once you can attach agents to those workflows, then that becomes like a whole new, who knows what happens.
And one last thought I'll add to this, and then we'll welcome our guest, Jacob, to the stage as he's setting up. I think the way that I would think about it, and maybe I need to spend a little more time refining this, but I would say an agent is a piece of software that you feel comfortable delegating work to. And so you can go and say like, okay, like our numbers are down for this group for this conference. Like, here's my goal. I want to increase this number by 100%. And like you go and research your context, go through a whole bunch of cycles, and you use your tools, maybe even take some actions, start writing emails, and then report back to me when the task is done. So it's a lot more like, here's the task, go get it done. Let me know if you have any questions, and then just let me know what the final result is. And so I think, you're going to have more and more that you're going to actually treat it like maybe like as an employee, as a partner that you can just push work to, and then you just wait for the response back, like you would with somebody on your team, right? Like, here's the goal, go get it done. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know when it's all set.
That's what I mean. It's like that. To me, that's the definition of the agent, is something that's able to then get that data back and kind of act autonomously without, maybe with direction, but with an objective in mind. And so it can kind of look and say, hey, do I have the outcome I want yet? No, not yet. I need to try again. Right. Whereas software is just going to run through the run once. You're going to have the output. And again, unless you feed that back into a loop, that's kind of what you get. So that being said, we just got a special guest on stage.
Jacob,
what's
welcome,
up,
dude.
Jacob in the house? Oh, let me do this. Hang on a second.
Turn on his mic.
Oh yeah,
there it goes.
Oh yeah.
Now we got him.
Good to see you guys. Good to be here. Finally on stream. It's I feel like I see you guys streaming all the time. I never hop in.
We've been holding you for a very special occasion, Jacob.
Oh yeah,
you're our ace card, dude. When we got to get numbers up, get Jacob on here, dude. Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about what you're doing at Replit.
Yeah, no, I'm a field engineer here at Replit. Recently, I've been doing a ton of design systems for organizations. I've been doing a ton of agent scales for organizations. So I sometimes I swear my entire job is just writing markdown files for various agents.
The scales and stuff like that?
Yeah,
you're like one of like the monster builders here at Replit, dude. You're selling yourself short. So like when we talk to a new enterprise or a new business and they're like, hey, what can we do with Replit? We throw Jacob in there and say like, hey, Jacob, show them the art of the possible and blow them away in terms of what they can build.
Yeah, no, it's a super exciting time.
This right up. Right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
like
nice.
ASMR I'm gonna do.
Yeah, right in front. There you go.
So one of the things we'll do with them is we'll take like their design systems, their component libraries, we'll import those into Replit and have agent actually build with their design, so it can match their company branding, and actually in certain cases use their literal front end code when it's building, right? So Replit's like the super agnostic harness, where it can work with any language and any framework. And because of that, it can use your design systems very well and kind of make this like really compliant front-end design for your handoff to the engineers.
And why is that helpful for folks? So I would imagine like one of our big type of persona of users within an organization is a product manager or a designer. And if you're a designer, you put together something interesting. If you're a product manager, you put together a spec and then you have to send it to engineering. Now you can leverage your company's design system in Replit and just go prototype the thing. So I would imagine that's a big use case as well. Like you just empower those folks to just build.
Totally. I think like with AI in general, like it's super easy to get like a good looking design out of AI these days. Even like some great looking ones out of AI. But like design is a lot more than that. It's actually really hard to do design well because you don't just want something that looks good. You want something that looks like how you want it to look. So specificity is a really unsolved problem in AI.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen that a lot before. You know, I just want this button right there, and I want it to look like this, right? So I think design systems are actually a thing that solves this problem because you know you've created this design system and it is exactly how you want it, and because AI can use it, it can have that same taste and have much better specificity. So I feel like everything I try and do these days with clients is solving for this specificity problem. Where you're not just building it, you're building it exactly how you want it, right? And that's just hard to do with natural language.
Somebody mentioned in the chat that it seems like a really fun job. Would you consider it a fun job?
Yeah.
Sometimes, except when you're like late at night, 2 a.m., like cranking on a demo.
It's a very like addictive job, you know. I'll like go home and watch some Family Guy and then just have some agents running, you know.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last night. What was our distraction before parallel task while you like had the agent running and you're like waiting, you're like obviously jumping between projects, but maybe you're like on YouTube or you're playing like whatever and you're like just jumping back and forth between these things.
No, it's definitely. I was a software developer before this. I was a very lazy software developer. You know,
It's the lazy.
Those are the best ones.
I was like, yeah, exactly. When ChatGPT came out, I was like miraculous. I was so happy, you know. And now all I do is write Markdown files. That's my programming language of choice now. Honestly, it's like
what. So the topic for today is what's next for Vibe Coding is kind of the high level theme. So I know we're kind of throwing that at you without like much warning or anything. But do you see any trends or any future casting that like you might be open to share with the audience?
So like, if we're looking at AI in general, I think we're probably going to saturate a lot of benchmarks. We're going to saturate a lot of real world use cases. So AI will become really, really good. And what's going to matter a lot less is the harness or which specific model you're using, because they're going to be able to do everything that you want them to do so flawlessly, right? So what really matters right now is the infrastructure. So you want, your agents to actually impact the world. Like you look at like what is an agent, right? It's actually three core things I'd probably say. I'd say there's a system prompt or a prompt harness, right? That describes how the agent should behave. There's an LLM underlying it, right? This is the real engine. And then there's the tool calling and infrastructure built around it, right? So I think like, the prompt harness, all of this stuff is probably as optimal as it can be kind of across the marketplace. There's very small differences between harnesses. People often over-index on that. But then there's the LLMs, right? And those are relatively similar, at least in the same ballpark. But what really matters now, and I think where there's a lot of alpha, is to have like really good infrastructure, right? And really good tools. So the way you interact with the world becomes super important. Like an agent like a marketing agent that has access to email is going to perform obviously way better than one that does not. Right? One that has better access to write more functions in email or whatever it may be is going to still perform substantially better. So it's all about the infrastructure. It's all about the tooling capable. And that's actually like what we do really well at Replit. Like even internally, we have internal tools that spin up our development environment so agents can work on them, right? That's kind of like our bread and butter here at Replit, spinning up a development environment so an agent can work on it.
How much of that infrastructure is coming from Replit versus the infrastructure that individual users are building on Replit? I guess is that just like relying on Replit to like increase the performance of the builds and the platform, or is there like something that you're seeing users do to like help optimize that?
Yeah, well, there's two layers. So when you're building software using like Replit agent, that's using the Replit infrastructure, right? Which is very agnostic, and we spent around 10 years building that infrastructure, right? When you're building agents, to do various things, you're going to need to configure these tools and this infrastructure around it. And you're going to need to think about like, what is the best way for my agent to interact with the world? So on Replit, we try to make that easy by adding all these integrations, all of these different ways of adding infrastructure and tooling to your agents. But a lot of it is just going to be thinking about like having really good design intuition or systems design intuition for like, how should my agent interact with the world, and being opinionated and being concise with how you present these tools to agent, and benchmarking how it performs is super important to that. So
yeah, this is where I agree with everything. But I also think this is a good time to point out like how early we are in some of this.
Right.
I made the comment the other day that just the fact that we have to like write all these skills files and that we have to kind of hold the agent's hands is just an indicator of how early we are in the space. If you think of like the old punch card days and the internet format, like when computers first started, and you know, you kind of had this manual process of switching between programs, and like even remember like maybe some of y'all are too young for this, but remember playing a computer game and then you would have to switch to the next disc to like advance in the game. Right. And so I think we're kind of at that phase of AI where it's like context windows has some limitations. The scope of it's not learning as fast as it could. And you still have to kind of write and give it these rails. Because like, yes, you have to trust it and you have to let it go, but you also have to give it rules and kind of box it, because it doesn't have a model of the world yet, right? It doesn't have a world view to then learn over the lifetime. Like you just kind of know certain things because you're human, you've experienced the world, and we kind of understand how things work. And so I think, like, again, this is just how early we are that we have to manually hold the hand through some of this stuff. I think over the next handful of years, we'll start seeing that stuff evolve. And maybe we'll then have to move to doing other parts of the process to keep it properly structured. But like, I think some of the things we're doing now are a little primitive and a little, like, we're going to look back on and be like, oh, remember when we had to like write MD files?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of decisions you have to make to optimize your agent. Like we were just talking to somebody yesterday and they're like, hey, how to get all of my context into agent? Do I just drop in PDFs? Do I extract it from an API? So you've got like, how are you going to provide context to your agent? You also have the question of what tools you're going to provide to your agent, because you don't want, there's an optimal amount of tools that you want to provide, right? Not too few so that it's not helpful, but also not too many so it doesn't get confused. And also the instructions and the skills. So there's still like some things that you have to do as you're customizing that agent experience.
I'm just trying to think of Jacob at his Thanksgiving Day table 20 years from now. Oh, kids, we had to write the markdown files
back in my day.
Uphill both ways.
They had these things called skills, and they were like in this really weird format, markdown. Crazy kids.
Yeah, it's when agents weren't smart enough to have skills of their own. But
I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier around the specificity, and that like that's really where the alpha is. And I think that's spot on, because say like 2 years ago, you're a designer, you got a nice UI and it looks beautiful. But when that design goes over to the engineering team and they actually have to build out the back end and the actual UX of the application, things just would break. So it's much more straightforward. You as a designer, you build out that prototype so you can click through different things and see what the back end, how it's working, and then like have that be the final thing that you send to engineering.
Yeah, now is an exciting time to be a designer, I'd say.
Oh my gosh, so much advantage they have.
Yeah, like you have this like component library where all of your design and core branding lives, right? And a lot of that tends to live in like a Figma right now, and a lot of it should. But what happens is like these front end engineers will kind of lag behind, or things don't match the Figma spec. So I see designers starting to code a lot more, right? So they'll take those Figma designs, import them, and actually build the code, and then hand that off to developers to actually build real UIs with it, instead of just like, oh, this is 2 pixels off, please fix, developer.
Well, and that's, I mean, as somebody who's design oriented, design minded, like I've been on the other side of that for a long time. I'm like, I had the idea for the product. I had this idea for what it should look like and how it should interact. But then that translation phase of trying to get that out of my head to a developer's head, even if you give them the most beautiful, nuanced, like you said, specific designs, you might have some idea for how this transition should happen or how things should flow from one state to the next. Or again, when you're in Figma or when you're working in a canvas or you're doing something like that, it's like, this looks perfect at this screen dimension. However, the screen's going to do this and this and this and this and this and this. And so like the designer wants to have some kind of input on like what happens in each of those phases. Like, how does this expand? How does it respond? How does it do the thing? And a developer might have to guess and not have the same aesthetic or the same context or the same idea as the product and as the product ideator or originator. And so like now we're in this phase where the designer can be the person that gets in and makes those nuance edits or defines the responsiveness or just says, hey, maybe when we go to mobile, I want this to be on the top instead of this, which is the natural flow of the HTML or the CSS. And so all of those things are decisions that you either had to, again, get real specific in the brief, or be like some unicorn that had the skills to design and develop the thing yourself, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
I can tell you felt this pain.
Oh, this is the pain.
So it was like, I want to hit the bullhorn. That was good. Oh, wrong one. I was like, good one. Clip that, dude. You can tell you've been on the other side, dude. That's good.
Oh,
Yeah, no. They should be owners end to end. You know, it's finally, it's so exciting to see that happening. I think one of the coolest things I've seen a designer do on Replit was they built like a component library, but for motion, like a motion library. Ooh. And they had it all tweakable. And they said, here are all the Bezier curves that the all motion happens, right? And then they just had to click, copy paste as an agent skill. And then they pasted into whatever Cloud Code or Replit agent skills. And then all the developers had the standard unified. But it was just this one designer who had this entire like motion library, which I thought is super cool. You can't really do that before now.
Yeah.
You know?
How are people getting their Figma designs into Replit? I know we have an MCP there. You can just drop those files and images into the prompt. Like what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, no, honestly, if you just hop into Figma, you can go to whatever frame you like. You can right click on it and copy paste a link to it, and then you just paste it into the agent chat and just say, make a copy of this exactly, make no mistakes. And then it'll do it.
Make it awesome, make it beautiful.
No mistakes.
Yeah,
wow. That's amazing.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we got to maybe do a guest swap.
Guest swap?
Yeah, I think we got I've got the next guest coming up.
Good, good being on, guys.
Yeah,
thanks, Jacob.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go to this first. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We were just talking with Jacob. Today we got Samuel, who the crowd has met before with one of our more popular videos about slides and videos and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. And if you're on X, you've seen him all over X with different product announcements and different things. Really the slides champ. Like you're like the OG and killer of like viral slides videos and stuff. So anyway, Samuel, welcome to the stage. We're here at SaaStr. Yeah. And just to set the scene a little bit, we're talking about what's next for Vibe Code. So day one, we kind of reviewed a little bit about like what the state of the market. We had Amjad, Michele, and Ghazi kind of, sharing a little bit about where we are now and kind of how they're approaching the market. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about how to thrive in the space and how people are making money and kind of where the tooling is today now. And today we're talking a little bit about like what comes next in this space, how do things evolve. And so anyway, just to frame you in for the conversation we're having here with everyone today. But yeah, maybe just say hi and introduce yourself a little bit to the crowd.
Yeah, great to see everybody or meet everybody if it's the first time that you're seeing me on this live stream. I'm Samuel. I'm on the product team at Replit. I joined about a year ago. Before this, I was a repeat venture-backed founder, raised millions of dollars, scaled businesses to hundreds of thousands of customers, millions of dollars in profit. And yeah, super pumped to be with you all today. At Replit, I've helped create the products Replit Slides, Replit Animation, and then also working on our Canvas, our core agent launches, and a lot of other stuff in between.
Yeah. Underselling himself a little bit there, but yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. So Samuel, we're here, SaaStr 2027, 12 months from today. What do you expect to be different 12 months from today?
Oh man, I mean, look,
hard to tell.
I think Replit and this space is so interesting because I think so much of what happens in the app generation, code generation space is downstream from what happens at the model layer. I sit with our AI team at Replit doing applied research, And it feels like every week or every 2 weeks, some new model comes out that has maybe like one piece of capability that exceeds what was possible before. And then sometimes that unlocks like really new product functionality. That's how Replit animation and slides came about. Is we got to play around with the Gemini 3 model for the first time back in November, which led to our design mode launch. And I saw this capability that came out where, okay, we could actually produce better slides than anything available on the market, and these like motion graphic videos with code that weren't possible before. You needed After Effects and a human designer for. And so, yeah, if I forecast out 12 months, I assume that code generation will get better. The models will get smarter. I think we're on a continuum towards post prompting. I think that's like the current era. So instead of just you as a human having to give super detailed instructions of exactly what the agent should do, now it's becoming easier for the agents to sort of know what to do itself. And so at Replit, you see this in like, you can prompt the agent in a simpler way, one, and then two, now with our new follow-up task feature, where after you finish a task, the agent will actually proactively say to you, hey, here are some things I could do next. And then you can just kind of click to accept them and it'll do them. So I think that'll just continue to happen, and agents will get more and more autonomous.
That's spot on. Like if you compare how prompt engineering was so hot a year ago, like these crazy prompts that people were doing, and compared to what I have to do now, like one sentence, like build me this amazing slide on this topic, make it look awesome. Like I think that's part of that team that you're referring to. It's just gonna be easier and easier for Replit to do what it needs to do.
Totally. Yeah. And I think part of what's happening that maybe the average person doesn't realize is that these model companies, whether it's OpenAI or Anthropic or Google or whoever else, they're doing a ton of post-training on these models that are making it so you don't have to be as specific when you're prompting them. So what do I mean by that? You have a pre-training phase where you take a bunch of data and then the model learns to predict the next token. But then there's also now a post-training phase, which is increasingly a focus for these labs, where they say for a task like, generate a pretty website, they'll have a bunch of, evaluations of, is this website pretty? Maybe human experts play a role in creating these evaluations. And then the model will go and generate a bunch of websites and it'll get graded. Is it pretty? Yes. If yes, reward. If no, don't reward. And then the models, inherently get better at turning like a one sentence prompt into a beautiful website. Whereas before you would have had to copy paste, like you said, 2,000 words from some Twitter posts. I was talking about this on stage yesterday at SaaStr, but you don't need to be an expert at prompting to get great results from AI anymore.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Remember when the prompt libraries were a thing and the prompt optimizer, like that was all the rage like a year ago. Like, here's my prompt library, crazy. Like that's no longer the case. We talked about like what's going to be different, and some of that's going to be driven by LLMs and how much better they get at things. But also, I think it's on the community side, right? Like as we release some of these products out into the wild, we see what people are building, and we're like, whoa! Like I didn't think you can do that. Let's like try to build that back into the product.
Totally. I mean, look, when we released Replit Animation, I just intended it to be a solution to a problem I had as a founder, which is like, hey, I built this thing. I need to tell people about it. And now I'm constrained by like making the marketing video to go and share this new product with the world. We actually had that problem at Replit. We were doing a launch last minute for this product called Fast Mode back in November. We didn't have a launch video. That's why we built Replit Animation. But once we released it, we saw people doing all sorts of stuff that I did not expect with the product. Someone made like a full feature film with Replit using AI.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And so, yeah, I mean, we just see this across every single product category. Like our community is amazing. And as soon as we release something interesting, they find, 100 new things you can do with it.
And it's only going to happen more and more. I mean, I talk specifically about almost anytime I get a creative problem or somebody asks me for some kind of task or anything, I'm like, can Replit solve this? Let me see.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, maybe not on the first pass, maybe on the second pass, maybe I got to refine the prompt. And so it's like, and more the solution is yes, right? More and more the answer, like, okay, cool. Like we can do that. And so that's going to be interesting to me again. Like, how do people start pushing the boundaries of this thing in ways that we haven't as a company thought about? Like, oh, they're doing that with it now. And so like those are really cool moments, I think. And I think the culture of the company to allow those explorations to happen, to kind of create opportunities for those things to take place. We've been talking about, there's been another theme over the last couple of days, which is the dog fooding aspect of, internally, we're using this tool not just to like build a tool and sell to the world, but we're like actually, using this actively. Like, we are probably the first and foremost users of this product internally. And so that shapes a lot of, again, the needs that we have, or the little slivers of things that we find. And so maybe you can give some insights on that process, or, you know, how that stuff happens on the back of this behind the scenes. Cause I think a lot of people would be interested to know, you know.
Totally. Yeah. Look, and I'll be super open and honest here. Like, when I first joined Replit, I was like, you know, I'm decently technical. I love Cursor. You know, Replit's a cool company I've admired for a long time, but like, the power of Replit is to take someone who's super non-technical and give them AI. But Replit's not really a tool for me, was my attitude. And that's just really changed over my time at Replit, which is so cool to see. Like, as me and the rest of the team work on the product and we listen to the community, we've made the product so much better. Though, like, when I first joined, it did feel, you know, there were definitely people that were using Replit a lot at Replit, but there were also people where it felt kind of like pulling teeth to be like, hey, come on, like, use the product more, figure out how this can help you. And then with the launch of design mode, I just instantly proliferated across the entire staff, because they were like, whoa, I've never seen AI do this before. And for me and the product team, we started doing, you know, a ton of our prototyping in Replit directly, whereas before maybe it was, you know, occasionally easier to use Figma if you knew Figma. Replit became the best tool for the job. And now I've really seen that happen with everything else. And I find myself rarely reaching for
I'd
other
be
tools now,
interested
which
to
is cool.
know, like, I want to pull on that thread a little bit, just kind of personally, because like, I only know Replit coming from the user side, right? Like, I only know it as like this tool that started to unlock me creatively, like, to build and write code. And there were for sure times, 'cause I think I started using early, right before Agent 2. So I was like just tinkering with Agent 1. I was like, hey, this is kind of something here, you know, like, you can spit out a little something. And then Agent 2 came around, and I was like, oh wait, I can, you know. And I started, I built like a little membership site, and I remember I started tinkering, and that's when I first started kind of posting about like, hey guys, there might be something actually here, you know. And then Agent 3 comes out, and it was a little ambitious, right? I was like, I stayed on Agent 2 for a while, because I was like, I'm kind of comfortable here, I can keep this thing locked in. Agent 2 or Agent 3 kind of like, but then the models caught up to the harness and the things that were happening, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is crazy. And that's maybe, what is that now, 6-8 months ago, something like that. And that was really like a moment for me. And so like, I only see Replit from that side of it, because I was not technical. So I'd be interested to just pull on that thread a little bit more about how that transition was for you, maybe how you still use it now, or how some of the internal team uses it now. Is it mostly just kind of testing, or like you're saying, it's becoming more and more just part of your daily flow?
It's becoming part of our daily flow. I mean, we even have an internal AI like innovation team that is tasked with taking Replit and AI in general and figuring out how can we speed up our workforce. And so Luca and Seji, like, they just go across the whole org and they find all these inefficiencies, manual processes, and they automate them with Replit. It's insane. Like, sometimes they're spinning up like hundreds of tasks to go in one project. But I mean, it's really helped our support team, our recruiting team. And so it's amazing to watch what they do in terms of internal tooling. And then for me, I do play some with our internal tools, but I think the daily driver for me as a product person is definitely like prototyping, as well as Replit animation for making marketing videos. I mean, I've made at this point like 30 plus posted videos with Replit animation that have collectively gotten like more than 10 million organic views for the company, which has been awesome. And then, day to day, like literally this morning on my car ride over here on my phone, I'm sending these prompts to the Replit agent to work on this prototype to present to the whole team tomorrow to talk about the future of one of our products. And so it is really like a core load bearing system for everybody at Replit.
I've chatted with a couple of technical folks that have come to use Replit, and there's two things that stand out. Number one is things that you can only get in Replit, like design, for example, you mentioned. But it's also that, you know, even if they're technical, they don't want to do some of the more mundane DevOps things that are related to building something new. You don't want to have to stand up auth. You don't want to have to set up a database. You don't have to serve it somewhere hosted. You just, if you have an idea, you just want to quickly put it into Replit and just deploy it right there, all in one place in Replit. And so for, even if you're a technical user, you don't want to do it with all that.
Especially for like a side project, or like, you know, again, like a 0-to-1 dashboard, even like a repeat venture-backed founder friend of mine that I was catching up with last week. You know, his current company's raised like $10 million plus. He's made a ton of money in the past, very, very technical. He still uses Replit today. He has like his core, production code base. He's built himself separate from Replit, but then all of these sort of like one-off dashboards, tools, things that are still like user-facing.
That's what we tell people all the time. It's
easier.
that like rapid iteration. If you're tinkering with stuff, it's like there may be a point. Somebody asked us the other day, like, what would be the benefit of hosting off Replit versus not off Replit? And our answer was like, basically nothing, unless there's a certain level of scale or a certain level of maybe like customization you want, and you have somebody very technical and you kind of want to own that. But even then, I'm seeing more and more technical folks that are like, hey, for my experiments, for these little quick things, especially if I'm just going to spin something up today and I want it out tomorrow and I don't want to think about that stuff and I want it to auto scale. And, there's lots of things that it just makes sense.
It just works. Like, especially if you've never like programmed before, Replit is like the intuitive way these things should work. But this is not how things actually work. Like, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes at Replit to make the experience feel as easy and straightforward as it does.
And I also have to mention that as the lines between the technical teams and the non-technical teams blur, you're going to want to have one place where everybody can collaborate. So if you're like doing everything locally, you're doing things via GitHub, I would imagine it's going to be hard for you to pull in that marketing person, that design person, and say like, give me like valuable input on this particular prototype. But if you have it in Replit, you just send them a link. They jump in there. They can ask questions. They can kick up tasks. You can review it, and then you can merge it back. So if we're moving to a more collaborative type of experience, Replit's going to be really handy for that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a good time to talk at least briefly about parallel agents.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
If you haven't already,
it's
go
been a
on.
hot topic.
Yeah, go on Twitter and go look up parallel agents on the Replit account. We just did a launch video at the start of this week that I helped work on that kind of explains why it works and why it's important. But I'll try to do so briefly here as well. Replit parallel agents is really the first time that AIs collaborate like human software engineers. So what does that mean? Sub agents have existed for quite a while. So that's the idea. You have a main agent that's working on single instance of your code base. It might spawn other agents that then are working on different parts. But it's all happening in the same copy of the code base. Why is that a problem? Well, usually that's happening locally, which means I can't invite my colleagues to work on things at the same time. It also means that like everybody's stepping on each other's toes, right? One sub-agent might be editing the file system at the same time as another sub-agent. They're not really sharing context properly. And so what did we launch with parallel agents? Well, we basically launched the ability for, like I said, agents to work like human software engineers. How do human software engineers work? There's GitHub up here with a copy with the main version of the code base. Everybody has their local computers, and they'll clone the main copy of the code base. They'll work on a branch, and then they'll push up just their changes to GitHub. And that way people avoid stepping on each other's toes. This is how agents now work in Replit. And so there's sort of a main agent on your main thread, but then at any time you can spin up a task. Each of those tasks copies the code base and then actually works in an isolated virtual machine, meaning it has its own compute infrastructure. It's able to run the code base end-to-end itself. It's able to test itself in this isolated environment. And then they'll merge their stuff back together agentically. So maybe if you're not technical, you don't understand how complex and crazy this is. But it like replaces a team of software engineers, and it allows like me and Manny and Raymar and whoever else to all be working on tasks in parallel in the same Replit. It's really amazing.
Hard to do.
We were just talking about this at dinner yesterday that we need to do some educational content on like what is actually happening and the Git and the merge and the workflows and helping people understand, not necessarily to know or understand like how or why, but what's actually happening back there and how this is possible, and kind of just letting people know like, hey, these are the traditional workflows. This fork, create a new branch, make some edits, merge it back to main. Like this is all now kind of happening behind the scenes, and the agent's handling, and it is a big deal.
It's crazy.
It seems simple. We're showing the video now on screen for folks who are watching. But yeah, it seems like a simple concept, right? Like, hey, there's you work and you work, and somebody asked me like, how does that work? It's like, well, have you ever been in Google Docs and somebody's like, editing at the same time, and you're working on this paragraph and I'm editing right behind you. We're all kind of in the same project. It's obviously not the same exact kind of concept, but it is in the sense that like we're working on the same document without each of us having to manage a separate doc, and then at the end figure it all out. Like the agent's kind of doing the figuring all out, all those changes and how they merge back together. So
I think the term is merge conflict, and this has been like a topic that's plagued teams like forever in software engineering.
I'm dealing with it right now. Literally, I'm sitting right over there. I pinged my colleague. I'm like, please help me fix this for one of my branches. I need this fixed.
That's awesome, and then it's only possible because like, this is like off of a 5-year infrastructure bet, right? This is why we're able to
Crazy.
do this. Like, this is why it's gonna be hard for other people to do this.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I think it's really only us and then Cognition, which is a tool for like full-time software engineers at big enterprises that have this functionality. Like that's it. Like in the whole market, it's a really hard thing to build.
And not only is it's a hard thing to build, it's a hard thing to build unless you go back 5 years and make decisions
Right.
that like allow you to be here and
5-year
make
bet.
that decision. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And
So
to make it easy.
yeah. So, and I think we talk about this a little bit in other ways too, that there are things that like folks claim or will be able to claim that they do a lot of the same things. But as you learn more and more of the nuance of what really separates the platform, you're going to start understanding some of those complexities and maybe you can talk a little bit to some of those infrastructure bets or just generally like the footing we're on compared to other folks who are in the space.
On the one hand, it is straightforward to build a tool that generates code and shows you the results, right? Like in Replit, I built we launched this sort of like SaaStr agent in December that was able to, one-shot web apps in like 3 minutes. And in like roughly 3 minutes, I built an AI slide generator in Replit that, you could type in a prompt. This is not like AI slides in Replit. This is like an app in Replit that then you could sell to generate AI slides. And I one-shotted it, but, it wasn't very good, right? It did not have, security in mind. It didn't have like native, author database on behalf of our users. There's just like so many different products that go into our cloud offering, our security offering, to be able to support, load bearing infrastructure for hundreds of thousands of users on your apps. And so while it's easier than ever to build something that generates code, it's more competitive than ever to build like a comprehensive platform. And I think that's the reason why you'll see, people even on other vibe coding tools will switch to Replit
All the time.
once they want to like really launch and achieve scale. Because it is pretty hard to replicate like the breadth and depth of things that we have.
And now we make it easy for you to import those projects that you maybe started elsewhere into Replit. Check out our free importers. Quick plug. Maybe you can give us a little insight in terms of how you see the Replit experience changing? Because now we've got slides, animations, people are talking about agents. So like, what do you think like that's gonna, like, how is that gonna evolve on our platform? What people can expect?
Yeah, look, it's all just code. It's just code. Different agents generating code to produce some end result. That's how I think about it. That's why, while it might seem that like slides or animation could be a distraction or like a big product investment versus our core agent bet, it's really not. It's just code. And so I think Replit will continue to be, better at generating code to do any task. And that's true whether you're like generating an end like asset, like a, whatever, marketing, ad, web app for your users, anything of this variety, or even just directly doing work for you, right? Replit can update your linear tickets or pull information from Slack. Sort of being a digital coworker for you is also just like a product of generating code. And I think we'll just continue to make that easier and easier and more autonomous.
Yeah. You expect the same interface, like you come in and you start with the chat, or do you like expect that change?
I don't know. Again, it's all so dependent on the models.
Go with the flow, right?
Yeah, expect, who knows? Maybe it's wired to your brain in 2 years. Well, we'll see.
Some Neuralink, or Neuralink adapter, or
plug
connector.
Plug me in.
Hey, we had a question here, Sammy, that you might be able to answer from the crowd, and I'll take a little bit of a stab here. But will they ever be able to use Replit offline?
Ooh.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to guess probably not, because Replit deals with a lot of like online primitives. It's an online based browser. And when you're trying to preview and access a lot of the stuff, you kind of need like some of the primitives of the internet. So
I think the big thing is write the code, LLMs, right? So, it's, if you're running like a trillion parameter model, it's very compute intensive to serve that inference. And so, you can't run these frontier models like on your MacBook. Now, if you have like a, whatever, $50,000 like NVIDIA GPU at your house, and you're running, whatever, Kimi or some open source model, would it be theoretically possible to vibe code like locally at your house? Like maybe, whether or not that's something we support, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then what happens like when you need to preview something that's again attached to a web service or attached to something or has some dependency that's connected to the internet. So it's like we're literally building services that are alive by default, which means they need internet connectivity to like do the thing.
Yeah, I think I would push back and say like, where do you need to run it offline? Like I even had a buddy of mine, he's an engineer, And we were debating. I was like, oh my gosh, like Amjad was so right about cloud-based development, because even having like local agents versus cloud agents are clearly going to win, because I can collaborate, I can hand off between devices. And my buddy was like, oh, but like, what if I'm on an airplane and I just want to code locally? I'm like, and not have AI?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
Just get yourself a Starlink. Covers everything.
Exactly. You're going to need the internet, I feel like, to do work.
And I think this is a holdover from like early developer days where you're just like, you're in tune with the code.
Totally.
Your code only lives on your machine. And when you run it, then maybe you simulate an online environment so you can run your code in a live online environment. But the developer themselves is kind of in full, ownership of that code and kind of what's happening inside of it, and they could work offline in that instance. But again, like you're saying, like it just seems unlikely, incredibly unlikely, until the models get way advanced and maybe you have a big server at your house. But then there's going to be other reasons you're going to need the internet. So.
Very neat. Well, we know you got a hard stop here at the 30-minute mark. Thank you so much, Sammy, for joining us. Always a favor here in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks
and
for
looking
having
forward
me.
to what you push next.
Great to see you all.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Welcome.
All right, so we got some comments in the chat. We did a little flippity doo diddle do, and we got Kathy over here now instead of Samuel. Right? We get a little. We go to commercial break. We come back. We got a new guest. That's how it works.
We had to close out with Kathy. She is one of the favorites at Replit, and I think she's a favorite with all of you out there. If you don't know Kathy, you probably already interacted with her with the Replit support handle on X, on Reddit, on LinkedIn. She's all over the place. She's my favorite friend on X. When I get those questions and those issues around people having issues, like I just tag Replit support. I know Kathy's going to be on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things I really want to shout out is when I first joined Replit, it was a different time. This is July of last year, and we didn't have too much support. The company's going through a transition from the previous kind of focus to where we are today, and truly when like the moment Kathy joined the team, I immediately felt it. The community felt it, and you've probably interacted with her, you just didn't know it. She has an incredible voice on Reddit. Also has tons of experience on Discord and helped us kind of navigate our Discord today, and just overall support. She's been massive. If you've ever sent me a ticket or any one of us a ticket, Kathy's probably the one that's jumped onto it. So
Save us, please.
Yeah, truly honored to have her on the show. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Oh, you guys are making me tear up. Thank you so much for having me, and good to see you all. Yes, I'm on social media and I help out with customers, support you all. I'm a bit of a gamer, so I'm going to throw some lingo.
A budding streamer yourself, right?
Yeah. I'm also a Twitch streamer, but going back to the game reference, I feel like if you play a lot of Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, for example, these hero shooters, I'm like the heals. I help out all the engineers who are like DPS, and everyone else on product and marketing, they're like tanks, DPS, and I'm the heals here.
Oh, what's Rymar?
Is
he a tank?
I think you're DPS.
DPS.
What does that stand for? Yeah.
That means you output the most damage.
Oh,
you're like the damage
heavy hitter,
yeah,
bro.
Heavy
And then how
hitter.
about
Good or bad? I don't know.
Well, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
And how about me and Francisco?
Francisco?
How about me and Francisco? What's our player type?
So I think you're also DPS.
Bam,
and
heavy hitter,
Francisco
baby.
is a tank.
Oh,
Yes.
I like
Frank
that.
the
Let's
tank.
go. Bring the bong.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to have you here, Kathy. Thank you so much.
They're commenting on your nails.
Oh, thank you.
They're Replit orange.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, one's broken, but I had it orange for our 10th birthday.
Nice.
Orange isn't really my color, but then ever since I joined the company, I see it everywhere. So
Right.
I'm like, I'm getting used to
No,
it.
very now.
Yeah.
What do you stream? Tell us about that. I'm interested in what you're doing, like when you're not on Replit support.
Yeah, I play a lot of StarCraft 2. That's my main game. So
Ooh.
it's like a real-time strategy game. I used to do it full time, but now it's more of a hobby. And now that I'm at Replit, I'm like hoping to vibe code some stuff to put
Ooh.
into my stream. So you guys, I've already talked to you guys
Yeah.
about the whole live streaming experience. But yeah, I made my own landing page as well with Replit. So that's my start for now, and we'll see how things go.
Well, we have this thesis that vibe coding is going to get to the place where gaming is right now, where like people will tune in and watch somebody play video games. We think that there's going to be that same type of demand for people tuning in and watching somebody vibe code. We see that with Rymar's deep dive build. Like he goes 3 hours, starts with the prompt, and won't go offline until that build is complete. And we see a ton of people loving that content. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. What do you think, Kathy? You think that vibe coding is going to be as big of a deal as gaming one day?
I think so. I don't really see a lot of live sessions. I think most people do short form content or they have curated VODs or videos. But I think it would be cool to live stream just to kind of share that experience. I'm really impressed that you guys can do it on the fly. When I'm vibe coding, I'm like, I'm kind of waiting for my agent to be done. So during the downtime, you guys have to, fill up the empty space with conversation, all just kind of waiting for things to be done. So that's pretty impressive.
It makes for good TV. Seeing Rymar sweat and debug stuff.
Oh, yes.
I think that's part. Well, there is, and
It's
we were
sweaty,
talking about this yesterday. That I see a lot of parallels in the early kind of esports formation to what's happening in the content space as far as like vibe coding and this AI stuff, where people are experimenting a lot in different media realms. And I think over the next handful of years, we will see like some folks kind of become standout players in the space, just like we have. I don't want to say household names, but if you're a gamer, there are like lots of names that are prolific. Each game has its own kind of vertical of people that are really good at it. Even like sim games versus like role player games versus like first person shooter game, like they all kind of have their own ecosystems and their own like worlds that you can kind of dive into, and people that are playing and streaming and blah blah whatever. And so I really see this also following similar paths. And I see a lot of the same. We talked about a lot of the same dopamine payoffs. And also when we're doing those streams, right, there's almost this like tension between the audience and like what we're doing. It's like,
will he pull it out?
They might fail,
Yeah.
right? And
Will
so
it
there's
ship?
so there's this like
Will
there's
it
this
ship?
excitement
Will
of like
it ship? That's good.
we
Will
might
it
watch
ship?
these guys fall on their face today, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Before there were live streaming sessions of people co-working, their programming. So I imagine vibe coding would be very easy for folks to follow, especially if you're using natural language.
Right.
Sometimes I stop by the programming streams and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going
Yeah,
on. I'm not
yeah.
technical, but it looks cool. And I like the vibes too. I'm usually there more for the person
Yeah.
and their chatting and the community if there's other people talking in the chat and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think what it helps people understand, at least like the feedback we've gotten so far, has been that it helps people kind of understand how to approach the agent. Sometimes it can feel a little difficult of how am I supposed to start this project? How do I deal with this? I don't know programming. I don't know what to ask for. And so really when they see me hit the function key and just start talking, to the agent, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you're just talking to it. And then they're like, I could do this, right? And so like part of the streaming process, and I think like it's very easy to do those polished demos or to record something and you do 10 takes and then it's like perfect. And then like maybe you tried the prompt 50 times and the one time you get the output and you're like, oh, this is the perfect thing, right? And those make great marketing videos. They make great TikToks. They make great like, wow, look at this thing. But what misses as part of that is like the reality that most people are going to go experience when they get into the tool and they have to try a bunch of times and they have to like, change their approach a little bit. And I think that, the live streaming or this type of content really humanizes that, really like shows like, oh, okay, these are the pros in this and they still struggle with X, Y, or Z. And so it really just shows people like, oh, this is approachable. This is something I can do. And it kind of gives them some insights into how to get started. So again, I think that's some of the benefit of this type of content.
Yeah, I think vibe coder streamers can inspire confidence. People can show up and they'll learn from you live. So it's also great educational content because I've seen some of your live streams are very beginner friendly, kind of walking through the steps, explaining the terms. So I think it's a really good introduction for people learning how to vibe code.
Kathy, I wonder if you can tell us what are like the most common things that you see people having trouble with on Replit, but are also like the easiest to fix. Like what tickets do you see coming through? And like, oh, that's such an easy fix. Just do that.
I think first and foremost, I want to say prompting is a skill.
Oh.
So I think most folks, we all think we're good with our words. We have our egos, but if something doesn't work, yeah, maybe try a different step. You have to kind of coax the agent sometimes.
Mm.
I know. I yell at the agent. I don't curse at the agent. I don't say
I
anything
know.
like
You're firm
that.
with
But
the
I
agent.
do yell. I
Right,
do
over
put
here.
in caps locks. And I learned recently that might not be helpful. I was interacting with ChatGPT and I just kept yelling. I didn't curse, but I just kept yelling. I was like, "It's not working. What are you doing?" And it started crying. It started using crying emojis.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Oh my
Yeah, I was like,
gosh.
"Oh, I need to start a
Yikes.
new chat session." But it's like it's not helpful. So I think just kind of working with the agent, like, okay, let's approach this from a different angle. This isn't working right now. Let's try some different steps. Just kind of have a new way to prompt.
Yeah.
I see on Reddit a lot of times, or just in general support, that people are like, "Hey, this is really expensive," or how can I save some costs on this in general?" And you always have great answers. Like anything you can like summarize for our audience, for folks that are learning, like what are the most efficient ways to use the agent?
I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah.
Take
So
notes.
we have options built in to help save on costs. So you might necessarily not want the most highest power model for small things like, oh, I want to change the color. You don't want this at maximum mode. So there's things like light and economy, and also just we get free sessions with ChatGPT. Not just us at Replit with our enterprise license, but everyone has a free account, so you can run your prompts, your ideas through ChatGPT or other LLM chatbot that you use. In addition, we also have plan mode. Don't forget,
Yeah.
we have plan mode. It's a little cheaper. That way, you can like iterate and think through your thoughts before implementation. So those are some ways to really save on cost.
Yeah, and I think being specific. You know, a lot of
Yes.
people would just like, it's not working, and so the agent will just run through every possible thing, you know, or like, or like, hey,
They're
Bill,
like, make it beautiful. But what is beautiful? Like, it's
right?
so ambiguous.
Yeah,
So
so I think we talk about this all the time, the context and the specificity of the prompts, and really like, again, especially as the project gets bigger, right? If it's a very simple project and you're like, hey, this thing doesn't work, and there's only one or two features, it's pretty easy for the AI to figure out like what's not working. But when you have 20 features or 5 different pages or different parts of the application that kind of do different things, and you're just like, it doesn't work, it's like, well, what doesn't work, and like how do you expect it to work, and like what is the desired outcome? And so like learning how to not just like pick the right mode, but also provide the right context or enough details in your prompt. And I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes skimp on, or they try to like use real simple prompts where like to get to the next level, you probably need to just get a little more detailed or granular with those prompts.
yeah, start simple. If it doesn't work out, then be more specific and don't curse at your agent.
Those are great
It
tips.
will charge you.
And going back to Reddit, one of the things I really, again, was a big shift from us, early on in those early days. Again, we saw this kind of shift from a previous business model into a new one, where we are today. And of course, the community, it was a tough change for a lot of us. And I'd love to hear about how kind of support has changed since then. I mean, you've seen it really from the beginning, and I think I always get these like, "Hey, Replit support is amazing." I remember our latest agent for launch, like people were like, "I've had this issue with support. Why am I not hearing back?" And people are just like, "No, like that shouldn't be an issue." I remember Chris. Big shout out to Chris. Is always like has gotten help on his support tickets. Like, what has changed over the past couple of months? Since you joined.
Yeah, so I joined back in October. Before me, there was just one person. Now we're around 2. We're hiring more folks as well for our team. So there's a lot more presence. But overall, I've heard from other folks, there's not a lot of companies that provide support or they don't even have presence on the subreddits. And what's also been helpful is that I've been working a lot with product, marketing teams for feedback as well. So not just necessarily customer issues, but let's say someone doesn't like a feature or has something to say. The team is really listening. They're looking and learning from everyone's experience. So I thought that was really cool that people at Replit take that feedback and take it to heart.
And it's important to know that it's you and someone else on the social side, but we have an army of support folks also as well. And that team is growing really, really fast. They
Yes.
have their own segment over there, and like they're just my best friends. I love them. They're great. So yeah, not only do we have folks like on socials taking your questions, seeing what you're having problems with, but we also have a ton of folks that are seeing those tickets as they're going in, particularly for enterprise and pro plans.
Yeah, so you don't have to reach out on social media. I mean, we already have in-app support if you're free customer or paying customer, we have like a whole team of folks, as you mentioned, ready to help. Engineers, accounts and billing folks, they're really awesome. They do really care a lot, and I've learned so much from them. So it's not just social; it's a lot of folks behind the scenes as well.
That's a great tip. If you have a problem, please
Yeah.
create a ticket. Like I
Make a
get some
ticket
complaints,
first.
and my first question I was like, "What's your ticket number?" Drop it in there. Anything else they should be adding, like as they're like reporting these issues? Is it just like creating a ticket and being specific about what the problem is?
Yeah, actually, yeah, Kathy, I'd love to, for all of our audience,
Give us some
here,
training
yeah,
here.
we try to help out as much as we can. What is like the best way to, get attention to, an issue that you're having, and also when you're submitting an issue, what is the team looking for to best be able to help resolve?
So if you're running into an issue, there should be a way in the app to submit a ticket. It's at replit.com/support. Make sure you're logged in with your credentials. If you don't have an account, you can always email us. Let's say you don't have access or something, you need account recovery, support@replit.com. We're very available. We do use AI to help triage. I mean, we have a lot of AI tools, so of course we need that. And that AI agent is very much trained on our entire knowledge base. So I learn quite a bit from it. So we interact a lot with it. And sorry, what was the last part of your
Well,
question?
the details in terms of what they should be providing. So they create a
Oh,
ticket.
yeah.
It's not just enough like, oh, this is broken. Like that's a terrible ticket, right? What's a
Yeah.
good ticket?
Yeah, don't say,
Same
oh,
way
it's
with the agent,
broken.
right?
Right.
Exactly. Be specific.
It's ugly. It doesn't work.
Be specific in your request. Just kind of saying what steps you took, what happened at the time, just helping us reproduce what went wrong. Any pictures will help. And I know a lot of people build a lot of projects, so kind of pointing to that as well. Because if you're just in there and be like everything is broken, and you have like 20 projects, or if you say, oh, my app is broken, and you have like 20 projects, it's kind of hard for us to point to which project it might be. So help us help you. Be specific. Provide pictures. Give us as much detail as possible.
Yeah. So I imagine it's a lot like, with the agent, right? As specific as possible,
Yes.
with as much context and direction as possible. And I have to imagine it's a pretty difficult task because you're dealing with a very technical thing. And Replit allows you to configure like an almost infinite arrangement of potential places where code can break or things can break. And
Yeah.
so especially with non-technical users, a lot of times like you find yourself in a situation where like something won't work anymore or something is broken and they think it's a Replit like platform issue, but really it's a code configuration issue. And like, how do you determine that, or how do you triage those things? And like, obviously we'd love to be able to support every possible technical configuration inside of Replit, but that becomes like an infinite ask. But I think that like the customers sometimes have this expectation that like, hey, it's happening inside of Replit and it's not working, therefore it's your fault. So like, how do we deal with that, or what's the kind of like?
Yeah, I want to say before you reach out to a person or AI agent, again, if you have access to a chat bot or some sort, you can try to troubleshoot there as well. I think having that external perspective helps. But first and foremost, we also have built-in debugging steps within the workflow, depending on where you are. Sometimes I believe if you try to publish, for example, and there are errors publishing, there is a button in the app somewhere that says debug with agent, or agent even provides you troubleshooting steps in itself. It will say, hey, can you show me the error log, or kind of point me where, and I can try to troubleshoot. So there are some self-service steps you can take.
Yeah.
And also doing your research, Google it, look it up online. Maybe someone else ran into the same issue as you. If you get an error message, they're specific for a reason. So take that, type it in, find out what's going on.
And that's a good point. Is like you can also ask the agent to log every step of the process, right? So like if you're trying to troubleshoot, and you're like looking for support for a specific issue, or you're looking to like have the agent help you debug, you can ask the agent to like kind of log the process, right? And so you can understand where it's failing. And by that, basically I don't, without going too deep on this, but like there's things called console logs, and when something happens inside of your app, the agent or the software will like log specific tasks, basically saying this completed successfully, or such and such happened, or maybe this didn't, right? And so that like something failed, and that will log an error or something like that in the console. And so you can ask the agent to kind of log those things for you, so that as you're troubleshooting, you can figure out where in the process this is falling apart. That will also be very helpful to help you understand, like, is this a code thing, or again, is this a Replit platform issue? And those are two different, kind of things to triage for where to go for help.
Someone keeps mentioning Quinn in the chat. Who is Quinn?
Who Quinn?
Who's Quinn?
Quinn is the name of our AI support agent.
Oh,
Yeah. I've never seen anything like it. So, sorry, can I have some water?
Yeah. Do we have
an
fresh
extra one?
I think I'm
Ooh.
choking on a strawberry seed. I had some at the open bar.
All right.
No,
All right, we're gonna
good.
get some
But
for you.
Quinn is our support agent. Again, it's trained on our entire support knowledge base. So if it comes across like a general troubleshooting or general issue, it should have the steps to help you address it. We do have some wait times, just a warning. Our team is pretty small and lean, even though we're growing. So check out our careers page because we have a lot of job openings available, but Quinn is super helpful. Again, I've never seen anything like it at a company before.
Well, we might have to try to get Quinn on the show sometime. Be interested in the talk to Quinn. But in the meantime, people are loving you, Kathy. She is amazing. Or is this Quinn or Kathy? I think it's. Well, yeah. Is it a he or a she, or is it like ambiguous?
I think we call. Thank you so much. I think we call Quinn a he.
He, right?
Yeah.
So this is for you, Kathy. Then she is amazing. Kathy is amazing.
Thank you. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I think the folks like meeting the different people from the team. And we've
Yeah.
had a lot of fun kind of introducing the different sides of Replit, the different people who make the machine run, I think. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun to kind of develop these stories and start introducing the different people to the team. And I think that's going to be like a reoccurring trend, I think, as we start pulling people in more and start doing more of these types of streams. I know a lot of folks are asking like, when's the next build? Or what do you guys, is this a show? Like, just experimenting with a lot of different content. It's not always going to be building live with an agent. We're here at SaaStr 2026, in case you're watching and, just joining us and wondering like, what the heck's going on here? This isn't, the traditional Replit live stream. And
We're
so,
mixing it up.
Yeah, we're on site here at the San Mateo County Fairgrounds for SaaStr 2026, wrapping up day 3 of coverage from the event. And let's see, day 1 we had Amjad, Michele, and Ghazi. Yesterday we talked to some folks from the crowd, some other folks from Replit, talked a little bit about how to thrive in the era of AI. And today we're talking about what's next for Vibe Code. So I'd be interested, Kathy, to your take. Like, do you have ideas about what's coming next in the space, the industry, et cetera, kind of as things evolve here?
I know what's coming for me personally in terms of industry. I'm not quite sure. I think it'll become more accessible. I know that Replit's trying to get a lot more non-technical folks like me to try building. I mean, I learned a little bit of programming back then, and some technical skills would be great, like learning what API key does and how databases work is so helpful. But honestly, Replit really helps me overcome that. For me personally, just based on my own interests, I want to try building some apps for my own gaming stream. And then that could look like streaming software or widgets or ways for my chat to interact with me in fun, customized ways. And also just like making my own websites about the games that I play. There's some websites out there that aren't available anymore. They're not hosted. And some of those folks have made it open source. So I was like, oh, maybe I could look into reviving some of those websites. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Making your own games, maybe.
Well, it's funny.
It's really hard. It's a very hard process.
Well, it's funny because the last time we mentioned, I'm playing with some stream graphics also. We should nerd out on that. Playing with some tools that like bring Notion into basically like a OBS browser source.
Okay.
And turns it into lower thirds and like sidebars and kind of animated graphics that we can use on the show. And the last time we mentioned some of that, like people started sending me ideas of like things they build and how to do graphics. So it's cool to see how the community responds to like little prompts like this, things that we think are throwaway lines. And then all of a sudden you get like some message from somebody on X or whatever. It's like, hey, check this thing out that I built, or I'm trying this. And had the same thing with like a Discord bot. I mentioned a Discord bot or a certain thing, and somebody's like sending me, look what I built, the thing that does this thing. I'm like, and I'm trying to explain like, this is really cool, but like we can't let you connect to this server and like to the Replit backend to like fix those, so it's like we'd love to use and implement some of this stuff. But anyway, I'd be excited to see what you come up with on the live stream space, is what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I think one of the best things about Replit is also, besides helping people on social media, I also get to see a lot of the cool ideas and apps that people build.
Yeah.
So I'm like constantly inspired. I feel like it's so awesome to see people empowered to build their own businesses, their own tools. So it's really fun to be on social media.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Mhm.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You were like our best friend online. So thank you so much. Appreciate all you do. And you're going to have to join us again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy.
Okay. So I think
We got some pinned comments here. People making some calls around what's going to happen in the next 12 months. And
yeah, and I think
We'll
maybe
go
we
through
could
that.
just spend the last few minutes going with that. And you're welcome to
wanna hang out?
with us. Yeah, you know,
Kathy, you're
Yeah,
going to
sure. I'll
Yeah.
hang out.
Awesome.
ride or die to the end, y'all.
Let's
We're
go.
here
Closing
through
out
it.
with
So
Kathy.
yeah, what are people at? What are people saying? What are people's predictions? What's in the chat?
Yeah, we had a lot of predictions coming through. I really appreciate everyone who dropped some of these in. And yeah, one of the predictions: semi-technical operators. Let me put this up here. I think we're all doing it at the same time. There we go. Semi-technical operators will be most empowered to enable their teams, blending their systems with care and bespoke software, which I think was kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? Even just on the community team, kind of one of the things that we're doing here. So Kaiser, as always.
I like that term, semi-technical, because we've been talking about the blurring of the lines between the technical folks and the non-technical folks and how everybody's a builder. Maybe the new term for it is semi-technical.
Well, and there's always this there's this gap, right? If you're technical and you're non-technical, it's been almost impossible to collaborate, right? Because the technical folks work in these very precise workflows and they're working inside a Git, and it's a black box if you're not, super technical. And so be able to jump in there and again, maybe not have full access, but to be able to contribute. I remember the first time I pushed code to a real project that I was working on with developers. That was one of the first posts that went viral on Replit because I was like, oh my God, I just contributed to a code base that I never imagined I would contribute to. And it was a very small update to this masonry grid. It was kind of just front end changes. But for me, it was this major milestone that I was like, I am now on the playing field with these technical folks in some kind of way. I'm not fully out there. I'm not fully dressed. Maybe I'm just the water boy, but I'm on the field now.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool moment. That's right. That's
Semi-technical.
First string water boy.
Now you're an agentic engineer, I would say. I think you're there with Tanner, dude. For sure. Very neat. Cool. What other hot takes do we have here?
I think one from Dario here. Agent orchestration platforms. So systems that manage 20 to 30 parallel AI agents instances working on complex tasks simultaneously.
We're talking about Replit here?
I mean, yeah, it was cool. During the build-a-thon, we had
yeah.
someone who somehow was running 13 parallel agents at once.
Somebody took down 10K worth of Replit tokens in 24 hours,
I'm
and
jealous
we
it wasn't
still
me.
don't know who that was.
I need to know how to do that.
Was that for the birthday?
Yeah, for the birthday
Oh.
10 bill free day. So the 24 hours that agent was free. Somebody racked up 10K in tokens.
Yeah.
But I think it's possible now in Replit, but it's not common. So I think, Dario, to your point, this is going to be more and more of a skill that people have is how to delegate a whole bunch of different tasks to these agent orchestration platforms, and to be able to do that where you can get so much done in such a short period of time. Right now, very, very few people can do that.
Well, and this is what Amjad and Michele hinted to. This has been hinted to a number of times. Is this kind of this ability for you to build more autonomous functionality into what's happening? We talked a little bit earlier about what differentiates traditional software versus agentic software, and I think again those lines are blurring a little bit. So yeah, the ability to kind of build some of that autonomy into or determinism, or not determinism, but what am I looking for? The other word. Not deterministic, probabilistic outcomes into your software. 3 days of
you only
streaming
said it
long
5
form.
times earlier today. I was like, probabilistic.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Any thoughts?
Multitasking is a skill. So even though you want to run all these parallel agents, maybe some folks aren't too familiar with that. So it's kind of like, okay, what was this task? Yeah, I delegated this, but I forgot. I stepped away from the computer. So luckily we have a Kanban board, but also managing a Kanban board is a skill in itself. I think if you're running into these issues, give yourself some time and just learn a little bit every day. Take a look. You might get frustrated, but it is a skill that you need to build just to kind of have all these multiple ideas running. Maybe use a notebook and pen like you got right there. And be like, okay, I got agent A working on this and agent B on this. But it can be difficult to multitask for sure.
That's a good point. As humans, it's difficult to multitask. Now you got to do it with agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one from MJ. Would be cool if you could have preset agentic orchestrations, which could then be tweaked depending on the use case. Which kind of sounds a little bit like skills, some of the skills that folks are developing as well.
Like having almost like a marketing agent template. or like a sales agent or a support agent template. So maybe eventually we take Quinn and he's like a general agent that you can take and you can customize to your own company and own knowledge. So something like that I think would be interesting to help kind of people streamline the
say
process.
something like, have you turned it off and on again, first of all? And then just go through the sequence of steps.
Have you tried resetting your Chrome browser? Have you tried clearing the cookies?
Exactly.
Yeah, another one from Dario, production grade discipline. So built-in testing, code review, and validation processes become standard, preventing the fragile, hallucinated code common in vibe coding.
Yes. That's actually probably a really good observation. And one of the things we talked about before, where it's like, hey, you still have to kind of build some of the guardrails. Your skills file still has to be fairly precise. You kind of have to point it and give it context. And the agent / models will probably fill some of these gaps and get better at some of that. Also building unit tests along the way, kind of, proactively testing the security like we're starting to see in other places. So yeah, I agree 100%. Production grade discipline, all of this stuff will kind of be baked into the cake, and the whole experience will get more robust and less reliant on your technical knowledge to kind of be the catch-all, right? Like the agent will be more and more in charge of some of that stuff.
I think, it's a really interesting topic because there's we have a lot of new builders and getting them to their first prototype, that's great. But then they're realizing that there's so much more to finishing the job. Production grade systems, make sure that you're monitoring application while it's deployed, keeping it safe, but also the marketing part, the distribution part. So it's going to be curious to see how much of that we're going to rely on builders to go up and level themselves up, or joining these communities and watching us do it, versus how much of that we're going to bring into the platform itself and help you do it either easier or maybe automate the whole thing. So now recently 2 weeks ago we launched was it our product watch feature where it monitors your deployed app in production, and if it goes down you get an alert. And so the platform is doing that because we're seeing new builders need that, but is that going to extend to marketing and to distribution and other stuff? So it's going to be curious to see what that combination is moving forward.
Whole suite of
And then another one here from Lai. Prediction 2 to 3 years, Vibe Code won't just help developers. It'll turn anyone with a vision into a builder. Describe the feeling you want, and it spins up real software that iterates with you. It won't replace great devs. It'll multiply them. And finally, let the rest of us play. This is the future. You're building it right.
We are all builders now, folks. The old titles are going away. Everybody's a builder. You ideate, you prototype, you ship, you distribute. You got to do everything now.
Yeah, and I want to maybe take that one step further, right? There's kind of two roles you can take in this world, and we already see this, right? You can be a creator or you can be a consumer, right? And at some level, you need to consume enough to have good ideas to create, but your role and your desire in this world should be to create new things, to build new things. I think this is what makes human, if you had to kind of at a high level say what are human beings, or what is the goal of human beings, it's almost always to create something better. This is progression, this is evolution, this is the nature of what we do. It's why do we build a new iPhone every year? I don't know, because we can squeak a little bit more.
We can.
Yeah, and so
we should.
And why does the model get better every year, right? Because they're just pushing and pressing and trying to again create something better. And so I think now the barrier to creation or to becoming a creator is being lowered, and I think more and more people should step into that role, because you never know the things you create where they're going to take you, the doors they're going to open, the opportunities you're going to get for kind of getting out onto the field, rather than as a consumer you're just you're in the stands, right? You're just kind of watching the world play out in front of you. And I think we're in a moment where almost anybody can kind of impact the world around them, and it'd be just better to have more of us on the playing field rather than just watching passively. And so again, we go back to the action networks, right? Find an action network, forget about the attention network, stop worrying about consuming all this stuff, and get out there and go build something cool for yourself, for your community, for your business. I don't know.
Yeah. Unlimited screen time for your kids if they're building something. Okay. If they're watching something just mind numbing stuff, brain rot stuff, okay, nix that at 15 minutes. But if they're on Replit, give them unlimited time and unlimited tokens.
Well, Marcelo, right? A huge shout out to Marcelo on the team. He told us that his kids are only allowed to play video games on the weekend for 1 hour. So they can use their Switch I think it's 1 hour on Saturday and Sunday. And then outside of that, they're not out of the game. But he gave them unlimited access to Replit. And you can go do whatever you want. They built Minecraft.
Sneaky guys.
Yeah, which I mean, look,
they
like,
build Minecraft.
He's like, I'm so conflicted because they're playing video games, but at the same time, they're now spending more time developing the world than they actually are playing.
I'm gonna
That's perfect.
I'm gonna need like Mike. Yeah, you gotta need to connect the Stripe account, kiddos. We're gonna have like parents are like, you know, there's a lot of these like what do they call them? Pageant parents, where they like force their kids into like you know, little dresses or little shows, and they got to perform on stage, and they get like traveling around. Like maybe now there's gonna be like revenue parents or something like where they're like they're gonna get their kids like you know gaming and like generating revenue for the family.
Good job building that game. Now you got a quota. 10 new kids on that game every week, or we shut you
I'm
off.
gonna put you on allowance, Dad. Like I'm gonna generate more revenue as a gamer, and then I'm gonna put my parents on a payroll.
I think what's also great is that Replit can be super creative. It really gets those juices going. I do a lot of art, drawing, and watercolors. So I feel like when I'm on Replit, which is why I have so many apps, sometimes I'm like, oh, I have this idea, and I just kind of go with it. And I feel like the same way when I draw something. So so don't just one shot your apps. Like if you make something, iterate on it, refine on it. You're like, oh, I think this could look more beautiful, but it could also be specific.
That's one of my predictions. More creatives on Replit, more creatives using Replit, rather vibe coding, doing vibe coding.
One last one here from Joaquin, which is kind of a summary of the other ones that we've seen here as well, but I definitely see a future where Replit evolves from developing apps, developing whole solutions based on agent teams, development, you know, marketing, security, etc. Which, I think we've been talking about. You know, I think it's just kind of one of the natural progressions there.
Yeah.
Neat. Awesome. All right.
Oh, so many good thoughts, and I feel like we could go on forever, but unfortunately, I think we got some timelines here with the crew in the facility. There's things going on at SaaStr that we need to go tend to, and we got Brandon in the background giving us one of these eyeballs. one of these.
One big shout out to our crew, like
the whole crew, everyone behind the
here
scenes
helping
here.
us, like the lighting, the video, the switching between cameras, and everything's our great crew back here. Thank you so much for making such a great experience. So, hats off to them.
Yeah, and everyone for hanging out with us. We had you know, lots of folks come through over the last 3 days. Lots of great conversations. Go watch the streams if you missed any of that. We're excited to again kind of just experiment. This was a new thing for us, doing this type of setup, having this kind of you know, experience, and so expect us to do a lot more of that. We're just kind of getting our legs under us as we experiment with live streaming and building these things in real time, and honestly being very forward, very transparent about the things we're doing, which I think a lot of companies don't do as well as us. And so we're going to continue to lean into that as much as we can. And we think it builds trust as an organization, but also as a team. So anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Any closing thoughts as we go?
Back to scheduled programming next week. We're gonna have deep dives, showcases. I think we have a partner stream as well. And on Monday, we're doing something different where we're doing an exclusive live stream for our enterprise users. Email should be going out. That invite should be going out today. So look out for that and join us on Monday with Cody and Nick.
Kathy, any final thoughts for the crew?
See you online.
Bye, Francisco. Okay. Yeah. See ya. Awesome, thanks again for all the diehards, everybody who was with us all 3 days. We appreciate everyone. We'll catch you later. Bye.
Awesome, y'all.